It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
Where will we go next? This phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Muller.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex Kaiju.
I'm Eli Watson.
And I'm Stephen Myers.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Wolfie.
And you're listening to Cryptid
Campfire.
Nice.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
I think
Can't believe we got that in one go.
success.
Oh man!
Perfect.
Hello
For
everyone,
sure.
and welcome to the monster party that is Cryptid Campfire.
Woohoo part.
Woohoo, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, today we are joined by another podcast called Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Oh,
Hello,
yeah.
everyone. Happy to
Hello.
be here. Welcome to the campfire. Today we are serving s'mores with strawberry sauce.
That sounds
Yeah,
really
alcoholic
nice.
strawberry sauce.
Michigan.
Moonshine, and I think this is the start of something special. I think we're gonna call this bad boy the Pulp Culture Pop-Up.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Snazzy name for it. We're looking to explore and examine the myths and legends of, ancient history and kind of see how it influences modern day entertainment as we know it.
Nice.
Sounds delicious.
Sounds good.
Sounds intellectual.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to Intellectual Campfire, everyone.
We got our glasses.
Use a coaster.
on. Well, anybody? Did anyone want to take it away first? Want to kick this bad boy off?
No, I think you got it, my dude.
Ooh. All right.
Kick
So
it right
well, I was
back to you.
thinking reversal. Well, I was thinking, we could take the next 10 to 15 minutes, kind of, tell you what we've been up to during the quarantine, what activities we've been doing to stay busy, what media we've consumed, just real BS to fill time. What do you say?
That's a whole episode, man.
Yes. Yesterday at approximately 3:15 to 3:45, I read about 15 pages. No, I'm joking. Could you imagine?
Oh, boy. That's the pop-up part that we're excited for. But I guess I'll start it off with a question. And I'll pose this question to everybody and figure we could kind of go around the room. And I figure we start with your superhero stuff we should know. Start with Andrew and kind of work our way down. Then go to Stefan, Eli, and I'll kind of pick up with what do you guys think when I say killer worms?
Bad bait.
They're under the ground.
Dune and Beetlejuice.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh yeah.
That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Killer worms.
Yeah.
King Kong.
I'd say.
Parasites.
I'd say similar thing. Is Tremors a big worm? I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. That was what I was thinking.
Yeah, I need to bone up
I
on my
think it
killer
counts.
worms.
Killer wormology leaves much to be desired, Wolfie.
It's a growing trend. It started off with 1998 Godzilla. Ferris Bueller was examining the monster worms.
First Bueller.
Oh.
But I think what I want to say is you look at pop culture and you see a lot of weird killer worms,
Yes,
and
all the time.
one
So
that I
many.
want to kick it off with. We have
interesting.
so many examples. But I want to take us to, a different time, if you will. A more primitive, stranger time. The year is 1990. It's
Zero
3
Man has
years.
just come out. Sounds horrible.
It's a rough time. We're 3 years away from the Steven Spielberg classic Jurassic Park and all its CGI glory. But it's been 6 long years since we had the classic David Lynch film Dune, which
Oh,
also
yeah.
had giant worms in it. But, it's crazy because it's a little tangent, but Dune's getting a remake, I think, coming out pretty soon, hopefully.
Yeah, it's got a hell of a cast.
Ooh, hell of a cast, hell of a director. One Denis Villeneuve, if you will.
I will.
I think I would say that we're in good hands. Because did you guys ever see Blade Runner 2049?
Oh yeah.
I have not.
40,
And I've also
20 Dune?
never seen Dune.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
You haven't seen the new Blade Runner,
I know
bro?
clips. I have not seen it, no.
Wow.
You have seen the old Blade Runner, though, right?
I saw it, but I wasn't super into it.
Yeah,
I can side with that. I can side with that. Yeah.
You mean that the scene where Harrison Ford sits at a computer screen for 40 minutes saying enhance, perpendicular?
There's that last fight
left.
where the guy is like, it's the dude that says "Tears in the Rain." What's his name?
Yeah,
Rutger Hauer.
Rutger Hauer. He bursts through a wall and is like, "Hey!" And it's like his head is just burst through the wall trying to fight Harrison Ford. And that was like the part I remember the most. Like it's just this really comedic part and otherwise to me kind of slow movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's crazy because that part wasn't even scripted.
Really? Yeah.
That's just how Rutger Hauer says hello to people.
Oh,
That's a real wall, yeah.
I left the camera rolling and magic happens.
I heard the new one's good though. I mean, I'll watch it.
It's very good. And may I just say, one Ryan Gosling, there's a scene where he meets Harrison Ford. This is not too much of a spoiler because it's in the poster.
Yeah.
But they meet each other, and it's kind of this epic stare down. And Ryan Gosling says, "So, you used to be a Blade Runner?" Harrison Ford stares at the camera and ushers, "Part-time!"
But what does this have to do with giant worms?
Well, I want to take it back to 1990 when the movie Tremors with
Yeah.
the young Kevin Bacon came out.
I've also never seen Tremors.
I was predicting
And
this.
It's on Netflix right now.
It's worth a
You haven't
couple
seen it?
watches.
I've never seen Tremors, no.
It's good. I would say
Tremors.
highly recommend Tremors. It's actually the reason why I want to talk about Tremors today is it was the first real instance I could think of where I saw a kind of like a killer worm monster pop up in a movie.
Mm.
And I was just when I saw Tremors for the first time, I was just like mesmerized. I was like, this is a good ass movie. And just the monsters in it are really cool because it. So let me paint you a picture. The movie is set in Perfection, Nevada, population 14.
Holy shit.
And we follow the adventures of a young Kevin Bacon. We learn of his dreams, his desires. We see him meet and befriend the locals, including Michael Gross and Reba McEntire.
Yeah.
Oh, Reba's in this?
Yeah, it's a story of a small town boy, trying to reach for greater things. Plus, the harrowing battle of man versus giant underground monsters known as graboids.
Graboids?
And so, a graboid is a sandworm. Picture basically a 30-foot long grub, but it's got a giant beak that helps it dig through rock and soil. It's got no eyeballs. It actually senses vibrations through the ground, and that's how they find their prey.
Mm.
Which is actually that's in Dune as well.
Nice.
The big worms, they sense vibrations. That's how they, kind of move through the sand. And
So was there inspiration from Dune then on this, or unknown?
Well, that's the interesting thing is because it's kind of a carry through this vibration theme with worms, kind of traveling through, because Dune came out, in the 60s, and then there's the 80s version, and then along the way we'll kind of discover a few more kind of random things that pop up in the worm legend.
Gotcha.
But here's what's crazy. It's not just the giant worm that attacks people. It's got a set of 3 tentacle-like tongues that grab their prey. And these tentacle tongues end in their own set of tiny jaws with tiny little teeth attached.
Oh.
What? Really?
Nasty.
Yeah. And they hiss and they snarl, and sometimes they display as their own sense of independent thought, which kind of raises a lot of questions about biology. they say we want to leave the people with one question before they go home. If you encounter a giant monster that ate people, should you kill it or should you let it go? It's the natural course.
That's really the point of Tremors.
I think you should let it vote.
By the way, so do you think Dune's Sandworm Sandworm, right, was the inspiration that basically Beetlejuice is ripping off Dune?
Well, I think the ones in Beetlejuice are their own separate thing, because if you look at Tim Burton art, he usually draws a lot of serpentine creatures to begin with.
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of true. There was one Nightmare Before Christmas. So
Oh
I can see
yeah,
that,
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
James and the Giant Peach, got some kind of sneaky things in it too.
Have you seen Deep Rising? Does that count?
Refresh my memory, Stefan.
I forget. I think they're on a boat or a plane, but one of the worm things like goes through the pipes and everything, and it pulls that woman through the toilet.
Oh no!
Oh.
Yeah, it's been a very long time since I've seen it, but I think it's kind of the same stuff.
Oh, that sounds pretty good. Maybe
I forget when it came out.
Yeah, well that'll be pop culture pop art 2. This time with toilet monsters. And as the movie goes on, our heroes, mostly Kevin Bacon, come up with wilder and crazier ways to defeat the menace. And they ultimately succeed. I don't want to, ruin everything for the movie, so I'll leave some details cryptic.
I
You
imagine
spoiled the end, dude.
It's Kevin Bacon, so it's clearly
it's not
gonna
the
involve some
end. It's
dancing.
the journey of Kevin. It's Kevin Bacon's hero's journey, if you
Of
will.
course.
You're like, yeah, so at the end of Harry and the Hendersons, they kill Bigfoot and drive away, but I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. I'm not going to tell you what happens.
I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but at the end, Bigfoot learns the power and the fear that John Lithgow inspires. And they succeed with a few casualties along the way, but the Graboids, they would eventually return with a successful, film series, many sequels, including a Wild West prequel.
Whoa.
No, really?
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of tight.
It's called Tremors 4, Back to Perfection.
Ooh.
And they got a lot of the original cast to come back and play their ancestors.
Oh wow,
Oh, that's funny.
Is it a Shudder exclusive?
Maybe. Oh no, it's a sci-fi exclusive.
Ah, I got you.
They got their own Sci-Fi Channel original series.
Sci-Fi, yes.
And so throughout the film series, we learn more about the Graboid biology. Normally, they start life as a worm-like creature. Once they hit a certain point of age and metabolic rate, they cocoon themselves. It's later revealed in the sequels that they cocoon themselves. And then they explode into a small group of, little tiny bipedal Graboids called Shriekers.
Ooh.
And they have
Shriekers or Streakers? Because those seem like different things.
Well, they shriek around, but they streak around too.
Gotcha.
I now have to ask, in the movie Tremors, is there a single creature called Tremors? We got Graboids, we got Shriekers.
Yeah, he has
we got
the title
Shriekers.
line.
Okay.
At the end of the day, they look at the camera as the sun sets and they say, "Truly, at the end of the day, we are all Tremors in the grand scheme of things."
Oh, okay.
They evolve into these bipedal little chicken-like things called Shriekers that run around and they eat everything in sight. But the more they consume, the more mass they take on till they actually fall into a food coma, and that's what triggers the next evolution step up the ladder, baby.
So the more food comas, the more you're evolved. Okay.
Yeah. And then once they enter the food coma, they grow fin-like spinal shields, and they gain the ability to fly through the air with what I can only describe as fire-spraying farts.
What?
Yeah.
And then the next step of revolution is called an ass blaster. It flies around, it farts fire until it explodes, propelling a single baby Graboid egg through the air into the wild, and then the cycle of life begins anew.
Wow. All right.
And that's our talk. That's my TED talk about Tremors. We want to thank you for coming. If you guys exit out to your left, you'll find little gift bags with Kevin
Enlightening,
Bacon's face
bro.
on it. But
now I'll feel so much more wise.
But
I'm scared.
That's just the pulp culture worm that I wanted to bring your attention, because if you think a giant killer worm that in later in life can fly around with fart fire is crazy, wait till you get a load of this. I present to you the Mongolian death worm.
Oh.
Oh.
Or,
Sounds like a great
yes.
band name.
or known to the locals, Olgoy Horhokoy, which is Mongolian for intestine worm.
Oh.
Oh.
And it gets that name because it's described as a blood red worm that measures anywhere from 3 to 4 feet. That's said to burrow through the sands of Asia's massive Gobi Desert.
What?
Wow.
Oh yeah, baby. And so Mongolian death worms, as I present the info, as I wrap up my conclusion, they resemble bloody intestines. That's how they get their name, because they're said to lay the eggs in the guts of dead camels.
Ugh.
Oh yeah.
You thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Man.
They're said to kill a man with a single bite. And what's crazy too is they've been described as both venomous and poisonous at the same time.
Oh shit.
Whoa.
It's venomous and poisonous.
Yeah, and their venom, it's so poisonous it can corrode metal, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Robots versus death worms.
They say in the future when the nuclear bomb goes off, not only do you got to worry about the Terminators, you got to worry about the Mongolian death worm. But the craziest thing that's attributed to the Mongolian death worm is that it's said to have an electric attack, able to shoot out lightning,
What?
but not from its mouth,
Oh
from
no.
its butt.
Wow.
And so you have all these legends from Mongolian legends of these giant worms that can burrow through sand, are able to kill a man with a single bite, can shoot lightning out of its butt quicker than you can say, holy crap. And I feel like, this, kind of permeates into this, pop culture obsession with giant worms. So that's my little TED talk, if you will. Giant worms, what's the deal?
What's the deal with that?
Giant worms.
Worth the ticket price. I'm scared.
So was there a movie with the Mongolian death worm specifically?
No, the Mongolian death worm is real.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and we actually have had a few expeditions go out to try to find the Mongolian death worm.
What?
It's
Yeah.
true.
The lightning part is real, you're saying? I believe a lot of this, but the lightning, I don't know.
That was where I agree.
No,
Electric eels.
It's able to generate the lightning through static electricity as it's traveling through the sand.
This is real?
So it's like an electric eel.
Like the little, when
Yeah.
it scrunches up and quickly through the sand and builds up all that static cling.
He's like Raiden from Mortal Kombat?
And then if it jumps up just right, it can do like his flying somersault attack that Raiden does.
The Superman move.
Yeah, and the investigator Alex was just talking about is a guy named Ivan Mackerlay. And he conducted 3 expeditions. I believe, actually, the last one was in 1995 or something like that.
Here's what's crazy. So, our friend Ivan, he did 3 expeditions, and the first one he did was in actually 1990.
Whoa.
What?
The same year Tremors came out, and he actually brought rhythmic thumping devices with him, based on Dune.
Cool.
Wow.
It's the real life Tremors.
It's the real life Dune.
And it's interesting too, is because we get a lot of info from from Ivan here, because this is the interesting thing about so Mongolian as a language itself is very isolated, and it doesn't share a lot with the surrounding Chinese languages, but it can be translated into Russian, not easily, but it's a hell of a lot better way than trying to figure out, because it even uses a similar alphabet, I believe.
Yeah, the Cyrillic alphabet, yeah.
Yeah.
That, and I also think that Soviet Russia controlled Mongolia for a little while as well, right?
Because they had some expeditions in the 40s.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually where Ivan had discovered some Russian authors who were scientists in Mongolia, and they had heard stories of the Mongolian deathworm. So there's Russian literature with references to the Mongolian deathworm from these scientists who went abroad to study all the zoological differences in Mongolia.
Wow.
Whoa.
Holy shit.
And we actually get the idea of the Mongolian deathworm and all these stories. They first were published in this book, On the Trail of Ancient Man, by Roy Chapman Andrews, who, I don't know if that name sounds familiar or anything, but
He's the real life inspiration for Indiana Jones.
It's true.
Oh shit.
Huh.
And he and the book was an account of his journey. It was a funded expedition by the American Museum of Natural History. And it was the summer of 1919 that he went. And so he went over the Chronicle, and he actually met with the premier of Mongolia. And then the premier asked that if it was possible, I should capture for the Mongolian government a specimen of the Ali Gorhai Horai, which is the Mongolian term for the Mongolian deathworm. I doubt whether any of my scientific readers could identify this animal. I could, because I had heard of it often. None of those present had ever seen the creature, but they all firmly believed in its existence and described it minutely. And then he goes on to say, it's shaped like a sausage that's 2 feet long, has no head, no legs, and is so poisonous that merely a touch it means instant death.
Whoa.
And so we have that account from Ivan, who found the book and kind of republished it with all these infos of Andrew just looking for the Mongolian death. Then Ivan took up and did a few expeditions.
I have some facts about Ivan that are pretty interesting to share, because the Mongolian deathworm wasn't actually the only cryptid that he went looking for. In fact, he made a movie about it. I forget what country he's from, but it's in a different language. And as far as I know, it's only sold.
He lived in Prague.
Oh, Prague, yes. But yeah, so he actually visited. He was one of the people who helped find Dracula's castle, because for a long time we didn't know where it was. So he was one of those guys, and he also did some research into Loch Ness for a while, taking some like sonar devices below the water and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess he's mostly known for his Mongolian deathworm work, because I think he was the one who published Roy Chapman Andrews's works and translated some stuff from Mongolian and Russian. So basically everything that we have on the Mongolian deathworm basically has come from Ivan.
Nice.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. But also, can you trust all of it? Is he altering the narrative to support his hypothesis?
Or is it, dare I say, everything we know about the Mongolian deathworm is just translations of Russian that itself is a translation of Mongolian?
Wait, was Tremors out yet? Is he just ripping off Tremors and taking it to another country?
Yeah.
He's ripping off Frank Herbert.
They all ripped off Indiana Jones, though, in 1926.
Worms. Why did it have to be worms?
But I guess, if Alex, did you have more to add?
That's about it. Just kind of the legends and the lores, worms, the Mongolian deathworm, and also in pop culture, we have this obsession with killer worms for some reason, and I think it's our primal monkey brains telling us from way back then when Genghis Khan was ruling the world that, hey everyone, look out for the giant worms that shoot electricity out of their butts. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the comedic stylings of Eli Watson.
Oh, hello. So yes, if I may take you on a journey to 1898.
You may.
Yeah. So just picture your life like it is now, but in 1898. Just
Got
kidding.
him.
Haha, it's different. This is Victorian era England. So, almost exactly the same.
Yes.
This begins a reign of terror that lasts for a couple of months, also known as Dracula.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Dun dun
Yeah.
dun.
But I guess I'm not talking just about Dracula himself, but instead I'm talking about a particular rendition of Dracula
Ooh.
from 1992,
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Bram Stoker's Dracula,
Yes.
directed by Francis Ford Coppola.
An
Uh,
Oscar-winning performance by Sir Keanu Reeves in a very believable English accent.
Keanu Reeves
Yes.
won an Academy Award for that movie.
No, he didn't. I was just
Oh,
pointing
okay.
out.
I was like, he's not a winner, right?
Critically
He won all the
panned.
awards for it.
It's critically panned performance.
in the chest.
No, yeah, that movie gets poo-pooed on a lot, but I'm over here like this is one of the greatest movies ever made. So, and I know Alex will back me up on this.
It's the greatest cinematic achievement, I think, in the history of motion picture.
I don't know, man.
There's an amazing score, though. I gotta say, like,
it's
all comedic stuff
fantastic.
aside, like Vampire Hunters by I can't even pronounce his name, Wojciech Keeler or something. Like, it's still
yeah.
it's my Halloween playlist, like every year.
Woohoo.
I
And,
like Stokes Drac.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Kids call it these days. It's also one of the more faithful ones to the novel.
When I saw this as a kid, I had already seen Monster Squad, and to me, that was Dracula. And then when my parents were watching, because I was too young to be watching it, but I was still watching it, and then it shows like how Dracula looks in this movie, and I'm just like, that's not Dracula. And then I was like upset.
So there's this reincarnation story to it that do you know where the idea of the whole Winona Ryder is like the reincarnation of his wife? Do you know where that comes from? We actually covered that because we did a Batman versus Dracula.
I didn't know that. I don't know that.
It comes from the 1970s Dracula movie that starred Jack Palance, who was the guy who was like, "You are my number one guy" in Batman '89 to Jack Nicholson. So he was Dracula, but it was written by Richard Matheson, who you guys probably know from like I Am Legend.
I Am Legend.
Yeah, so in that version, he was the first one to actually come up with the idea of like, oh, the reason why he's lusting after this woman is because she's the reincarnation of his dead wife. And I think whoever wrote the script for this one was just like, oh, that sounds like a good idea to me, and then he just threw it into this one. But it actually comes from the 70s Dan Curtis produced Dracula movie.
Oh, that's
Nice.
Yeah, Ben's other forte is Dracula.
Not as much as Batman or Sherlock Holmes, but I have love for Drac. So
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, I think Bram Stoker's Dracula is set in 1898. That's the year the novel came out.
Mhm.
And so for me, it would make sense if that's when it was going for. But then if I can take you back to 1891 to a village in England, there's The Wolfman with Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins.
that one, okay.
Yes. And then I'll take you to 1933 with a rendition of King Kong, directed by Peter Jackson, starring Jack Black and Adrian Brody, Naomi Watts, etc.
Mhm.
Now picture, you have these three movies that are period pieces with good special effects. They're in the same universe now, and this is how Universal should proceed with its dark universe.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Ooh.
So I don't know. I just kind of I was thinking about this last night because I was like, why don't they just do that? You know,
Gary
could
Oldman,
have.
Andy Serkis, and Benicio del Toro.
That'd be tight, actually.
Yeah, except
Somebody-
I mean, it wouldn't work because I mean, I guess Dracula's dead, and he kind of stays dead. But you know, in the old Universal monster movies, the Wolfman always came back alive, so that's no problem. We can resurrect him. But I was thinking, you know, a remake of the 1954 movie Creature from the Black Lagoon, and you have a disheveled Carl Denham after his, I think he goes to prison after the whole King Kong fiasco, and
for littering in public.
yeah, you left your giant dead gorilla on the ground.
Hey man, get this monkey out of here.
So he's looking to make a comeback, and he hears about this place. He hears about the Black Lagoon in South America. So he gets the squad together. And maybe, if you're as crazy as I am, you could probably try to shovel in a crossover between Brendan Fraser's The Mummy.
Oh, yes. I support
Yeah,
this.
those are great.
And then, Benicio could be there for, who knows what reason. He doesn't really have any particular skills in the movie.
Until the full moon comes up, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, who is this guy? They mentioned the fact that he's been gone for like 10 years, right? And he left because his mom died from some tragic accident, yada, yada. But they never talk about what he's been doing during those 10 years. Like, who is this guy? He's just kind of there. And then he turns into a werewolf and dies, and that's the movie. And this gives you a chance, maybe he was exploring stuff in South America.
And then you can have, because what's great is Anthony Hopkins, not only the best Van Helsing we've ever had, but he was, Lawrence Talbot's crazy father.
So is that the same man?
No, they're long lost relatives.
Okay.
But the spirit of the dead Anthony Hopkins is haunting his relative, crazy Van Helsing Anthony Hopkins. And then when the creature shows up and it grabs, whatever girl, maybe played by Scarlett Johansson, she plays all the girls.
Ow! In all the movie universes.
And so the creature carries her off. They're like, we gotta go after her. And Anthony Hopkins can say, no, she's a whore of the sea devil.
Oh, man.
Wait, so where does Dracula come in? Just the Van Helsing element?
Yeah, I guess he would just kind of be dead. I know.
Maybe his evil could live on. Maybe a little bit's left in Mina that, find his way.
You could go that route, which is cool, but you could also, do a remake of the classic Universal Monster movie sequel to Dracula, which was the Dracula's Daughter.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so you could go that way and like have, I feel like that would be a cool way to go with it.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Yeah.
Because like how many times have we heard the Dracula thing? Like how many renditions of Dracula have there been? And say what you want about Dracula's Daughter. Like, is it a great movie? No, it doesn't have to be if you're remaking it. So
well, yeah, exactly. Like as we keep saying sometimes, like why don't you remake stuff that like had potential but like fell flat? Like remake the stuff that didn't quite work but has potential. Don't remake stuff that's classic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ooh, and then you could follow the journey. Would Dracula's Daughter be the villain?
Yeah, you could do something like that.
She's like traveling the world, making an army of the undead, maybe raising like old generals from like, ancient Transylvanian times that got buried.
An erotic journey through the old world.
She resurrects the one guy who dies in The Mummy. The old general who dies in the plane crash.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then she resurrects Benny, too. Benny, I thought you died. Oh, Connell, I'm a zombie.
When do the worms show up?
Right then, because then Benny comes into worm Benny. And they have his face and they start burrowing into people's eyeballs.
You know what? On a serious tip, y'all, I think that they could probably weave in a tale of the worms with the lagoon creature. Somehow. Seems like those two ideas could connect.
That would be a wink. It would be a wink to the next movie.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm listening.
Yeah.
Which would be maybe a period piece of Tremors, You would start your own new narrative of Tremors. You would disregard the past 5 movies, start another one that's accurate to the Mongolian death worm. You could have Brendan Fraser there and Crazy Van Helsing there and Jack Black's there and
Jack Black.
He's a hardened.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was gonna say you could have the creatures from the Black Lagoon be maybe tied to Lovecraftian themes. He's a deep one, an old one that's
Oh,
left
yeah.
behind.
Ooh.
Primal worlds, ancient civilization. And that way, in the sequel, we could introduce Cthulhu and science fiction to signify the death of the Universals at the end of the 40s into the 50s when sci-fi took, and then the giant ants come out.
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh, that'd be cool. Them.
So this is a trilogy now.
It's a whole universe, dude.
Oh, of course.
It's a whole franchise.
Quadrilogy.
Yeah, dude,
20
20 movies.
movies, bro.
It's
We're
every
doing-
Universal movie from now on.
Yeah.
And then there's the Pitch Perfect crossover.
Oh no.
Oh, God.
Sorry,
right.
this is sort of related, right? If I
Yeah,
could
yeah.
just do a tangent real quick. I just thought that it's Universal Monsters, like you need to still sort of maintain that classic look at least a little bit, and don't like Tom Cruise's Mummy, which is so like I just don't like that, man.
Well, also
Like-
it was about it was like he was the main star, not the actual creature. Like if you're gonna do
Yeah.
Universal monster's the creature. Don't throw in some action hero guy to be the main character. Like we're not interested in that. We want the Mummy.
Exactly.
No,
And
I enjoyed that new one quite a bit, I think.
yeah, I actually never even saw it because I didn't like the look of the Mummy that I saw in the clips.
I would say if it's streaming, check it out. I like Russell Crowe is in it.
It's Mr. Hyde.
All right.
And he-
all right.
And then he turns into Dr. Jekyll and he Mr. Hyde. Then he starts singing.
Oh my God, that sounds
Yeah.
bad.
That's not true.
Okay,
That's
I don't
not
know
true.
about that.
Oh, okay, that's a what
He
you
just sings
call
like
a
Les Mis.
Les Mis reference.
But
Throw in Hugh Jackman as his Van Helsing to sing with him.
the new Mummy, yeah, I'd say it's interesting. If anything, just for the sheer terror that Tom Cruise emotes when the plane's crashing and there's no other sound but him going ah, ah,
Yeah, I've seen that clip.
Oh, it's pretty
that
funny.
truly was
the early
power
trailer.
of the Mummy.
Oh. Well, if you guys want to hear my modern Universal Dark Universe, this is something I think about a lot, and I don't know why, but I think about because they keep making movies and then restarting them,
Mhm.
and I'm like, why don't you just take all of these movies and work them together? So I had the idea, you have the 2017 Mummy, and you have Dracula Untold, because the last scene of that movie is in present day, so might as well run with it. I think what is it? I, Frankenstein is set in present day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's his
Or
own
not
thing.
No, I meant Victor Frankenstein.
That's like turn of the century, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, then that can go in the other one, and you could have Daniel Radcliffe being Dr. Frankenstein running around.
He was Igor. He was Igor.
Oh, Daniel Radcliffe was Igor?
Yeah.
James McAvoy was Dr.
McAvoy was
Frankenstein.
Frank.
Oh, even better, dude. James
Yeah.
McAvoy, get him running around,
That-
dude.
That movie
That's-
came out?
Yeah, that movie.
I totally forgot about that.
That needs a remake, if only thing, but just with Radcliffe and McAvoy again, because they're very good in it together as Igor and Frankenstein.
Oh shit.
I always thought, like, also going back to the Universal Monster Universe thing, because they were really trying that a few years ago, and I thought about it for a while. They could like make it Monster Squad based in a way too, and just have like these main kids be the central cast in this, like they're the Avengers, like they have their own movie. If they do a universe of that, they get separated. One has to go fight or do some shit in Egypt with the Mummy. One has to go to South America for some reason. You know what I mean? I don't know. Just some sort of mixture of those ideas.
This is what I got. All right. This is the theory that connects all the theories together. So you have the Invisible Man, the Mummy, and Dracula Untold all existing on a certain timeline, right? Invisible Man is tangential. Who really cares? I don't know. It's there. It's connected. Boom. But you pick up with a movie with Tom Cruise being the Mummy, because that's how it ends. He turns into the Mummy. And he teams up with Luke Evans as Dracula, and they meet a Frankenstein, a modern day Frankenstein, and it's set after like a Frankenstein movie or whatever. So all the events of Frankenstein have happened. So he's kind of like also kind of a criminal because he created a monster that murdered a bunch of people. So he's looking for a way to reverse his mistakes, aka a time machine.
Oh my
Ooh.
god.
Oh.
Yes. But, I don't know how exactly this would work, but you would have to be able to travel back in time far enough to have Brendan Fraser's mummy cross over as well. So
Right.
maybe they're not traveling back in time, but traveling to a different timeline, and it crosses over with the other dark universe that we had already discussed.
Crisis on Infinite Universal Universes.
Eli,
Yeah.
Eli, have you given any credence to the reincarnation aspect of Dracula? Because we could have
Oh yeah, that's
Gary
true.
Oldman and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy be the reincarnation of Dracula. So we could
Yeah.
have Dracula as a British intelligence officer
Ooh.
during the Cold War.
That'd be cool.
pretty
That'd
tight.
be cool.
Or
That
Gordon.
would be
Or he reincarnate. Dracula, after he dies, he gets his stabbed through the heart. He gets his head cut off, and he reincarnates. Oh, I don't know what, about like 100-something years later, early 90s. Next thing you know, he's a drug dealer in True Romance, and he's just about the prettiest white boy you ever done seen.
But yeah, that's what I got. I mean, these
Hell
are
yeah.
all, as far as cryptids go, I mean, I don't know if vampires qualify as cryptids. I don't think they do. That's more paranormal. But King Kong, that started off, people didn't know what gorillas were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you
right.
know. Yeah.
What's the best Yeti movie or show of all time, by the way?
The Yeti.
I'd love to know because that'd be cool to check out.
Yeah, let's see. They're
Monsters Inc.
yeah.
Easy.
Welcome to the Himalayas.
Oh, it's lemon flavored.
Missing Link is pretty good.
Missing Link, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I gotta see that.
That one's
Oh
good.
yeah.
It's a movie called
Abominable.
Abominable.
There's actually two.
Oh yeah, animated and real, right?
Yeah.
And live
the,
action.
Yeah, the live action one is. I haven't heard anything about it. But it's older, for sure, and it's also about the exact same thing. It's about the Yeti. So.
Trying to think. Yeah, I would say for the Yeti, it's kind of hard because, like, he's one of those characters that when you use him as a cameo, like in Monsters Inc., you're like, bam, we got it.
Mm-hmm.
But for an hour and a half running time, it's a hard sell sometimes.
Yeah, there should be a good Yeti movie.
Yeah,
Wow.
ooh, maybe.
Well, I know there's the Abominable Snowman with Peter Cushing from 1957,
mhm.
but I haven't seen that one, and the Blu-ray is like
yeah.
$25.
I dig
Yeah.
Kush.
I'm like,
Really?
why? I'm like, why, dude? Like, no one's clamoring to
Ooh,
watch
the
this
best-
movie.
The best Yeti ever on film. A little movie. I don't know if you heard of it. Empire Strikes Back.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have seen that one.
Woohoo! Yeah, with
On
the
their
main
native
boy,
planet.
Irving Kershner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit! Another connection. Oh wait, no. Wasn't Peter Cushing in that movie as well?
Who is Tarkin? Yes.
It was in the
He was a long lost relative on Hoth.
Here's how it goes. Irving Kershner, he directed Empire Strikes Back. He also directed one of the greatest sequels of all time, RoboCop 2.
What,
Oh yeah,
did
he
he?
did. Yeah, he did.
Oh shit!
Release
2 for
year
2, baby.
1990.
Whoa,
It all
what?
connects.
if that Jungle Cruise movie does well, I'm sure we'll get a Matterhorn movie at some
Ooh.
point.
I've been wondering when that's gonna happen.
Who do you think should be in it? Brandon Fraser?
The Rock,
Definitely.
dude. Duh.
The Rock? Yeah.
I
He's
want
in
to.
every Disney ride movie. He's the connection.
Yeah.
The Disney ride universe, and somehow they're gonna plug in Johnny Depp in there.
Is he in the Pirates movies?
No, he's
The
not.
Rock?
Not,
Okay.
not yet. Not
Yeah,
yet.
not
Maybe
yet.
he
They're
will.
gonna
Yeah.
retroactively add him in.
Well, there's rumors that it's going to be Karen Gillan in a reboot of it with her as that female pirate that got added to the ride. So just throw in The Rock and Kevin Hart and Jack Black in there.
No,
and you got
Kevin Hart.
You got
Yeah.
a Pirates Jumanji.
Get Danny DeVito in there.
I mean, that's all I got.
Yeah. I mean,
Nice.
I think we popped out on our pop culture
Pop culture
pop up.
You popped out, bro.
Nice.
What about Hellboy? Are you guys familiar with Hellboy? Does that have any cryptid crossover potential?
Probably does.
Mm,
There's a lot of
talking-
paranormal
talking-
though.
We're talking
I
Ron
guess-
Perlman, Hellboy, right?
None that I can think of.
Sure.
we're talking about Toby Jones. Is he the Link?
Ooh. Spell it out for us, Stephanie.
Wait, what?
Or you're thinking of what's his face? The what is his name now? It's not Toby Jones. It's
Doug Jones?
Doug
Doug
Jones.
Jones.
Doug
That's
Jones.
what
I was
I
wondering.
meant, that's
Yeah,
what
I was like.
I was
who's
gonna
Toby
say
Jones?
Tall Jones.
Tall
Don't-
Jones.
You
That might as
guys
well be
don't
his
know
name.
Toby McGee?
Yeah. Stephanie, you're thinking of Toby Maguire.
No, Doug Jones is the creature from the Black Lagoon. So that.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
You're
Yeah.
talking about the bastardized sequel to Creature from the Black Lagoon? As far as I'm concerned, there's already a sequel, and it's called Revenge of the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Never before in cinematic history has a creature flipped over a car. Ooh, I like the creature from Monster Squad because he's got a piranha head.
Yeah, he looks cool. Actually,
Yeah.
they did a great job with that. Actually, scary.
Yeah, I think go ahead and tell the people a little bit about superhero stuff they should know. The podcast that puts the Justice League to shame.
Oh man.
You want to start off, Andrew?
Sure. So basically, Ben teaches us a lot about Batman mainly, but we're branching out in other subjects as well slowly.
Yeah.
But Ben's main expertise really is Batman pop culture history.
But yeah, some of the ideas of some of the past episodes because like there's a lot of different Batman podcasts, but we kind of specifically try to explore ground that not a lot of people do. So if you're a Cryptid fan, then you should check out the episode that we released this week, which was with the Cryptid Campfire to explore on the 80th anniversary of the Joker, whether or not the Joker is a supernatural character. So we included all the times where the character has supposedly died only to be resurrected yet again over and over and over again.
Hell yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, we were on the episode and we learned a lot about the Joker. And yeah, it was pretty dope because like he's everyone's like, oh, the Joker's the best character ever, but he kind of is if you look at his origin story.
Yeah.
He used to live under a grave.
Yes.
I still can't get over that.
I mean,
That's what-
there's a lot to Batman that like,
Mhm.
is still out there to learn, people.
Right.
We want to thank you guys for joining us for this pop culture pop up.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for bringing us on.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, thanks for coming. It's fun to talk about. I always think pop culture has a way of reflecting and showing us some aspect of human truth.
Totally agree.
And I think that truth is, look out for worms that fart electricity.
Out of their butts.
I was just gonna say that. Took the words out of my mouth.
And so, well, I think how should we do the sign off?
So Alex, where can I find you online if I'm looking for you?
Well, if you want to find me online, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at AlexDaiKaiju. That's Alex DAIKAIJU. I post a lot of monster art, and I do some pictures of cryptids and some Godzilla fan art, so be sure to check it out. Maybe I'll even do some Tremors art in celebration. And, well, let's face it, the world's gone crazy, and the only man that can steer us correct is Stephen James Myers.
Oh,
Oh,
if you want to find me,
yeah.
If you want to find me, you can get me on Instagram at Myers Stefan. That's MYERSSTEFFEN.
Ooh. And, I want to, talk some more about how the Universal monsters could be saved from the epidemic of low-budget schlock. Eli Watson, how could you help us?
Hello. You can find me at the Eli Watson on Instagram, and you can actually check out all the social media that I run for Cryptid Campfire. So at Cryptid Campfire on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can check out our website, www.cryptidcampfire.com, where you can get your official Cryptid Campfire t-shirt.
Woohoo.
And if you head on over to our Patreon page, you'll be able to get access to exclusive episodes, and along with exclusive images and sometimes videos that we put out just for the Patreon, the patrons.
Oh yeah. And I think that's it for this pop culture pop-up. I think we could probably go around and sign off, in a classy way. Maybe there'll be more of these in the future. We'll discuss the theological implications of raising the dead, as seen in the cautionary tale Weekend at Bernie's 2.
So we are Superhero Stuff You Should Know. You can find us right now on social media at Superhouse Pod on Instagram and Twitter, as well as either Superhouse or Superhero Stuff You Should Know on Facebook. Andrew, continue off of anything I might have forgotten.
Yeah, we're on YouTube. Search for us there, Superhouse Podcast or Superhero Stuff You Should Know. I'm Thunder Wolf Drew, all one word, on Twitter and Instagram. Please join the Shasta Army. That's our Patreon. So patreon.com/Superhouse Podcast. That's all one word as well.
Oh, hi. This is Wolfie. My social media is Wolfie Cruz on Instagram. That's about it for right now.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for this week, and we'll see you next week, guys. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is a part of Straight Up Strange Productions. Discover more shows like this one at straightupstrange.com.